I am becoming increasingly concerned about Chris Minns's government's response to the Bondi attack. Primarily because at the moment there was an article in the Sydney Morning Herald, I think, which I better make sure I attribute this to the right people. Sorry, I lied, The Guardian. There was an article in The Guardian that says that Minns government actively considering if Jewish security groups should be armed after Bondi attack. Now, my concern about this is that are we endeavouring to turn certain groups of people, this is the security forces, or group, not forces, for the Israeli community, are we intending to turn these groups into a type of militia? Are we becoming more like the United States? Are we finding ways to arm our community as opposed to what the intention should be, which is to disarm our community? And at the end of the day, who's going to pay for all of this? Is that you and I are expected to pay for the weapons, for the training of these people to be able to use those weapons and to use them appropriately when needed, and hopefully they'll never be needed again. How can we rely on volunteers and people who choose to be security guards for the Jewish community to be even the right people to do this work? I don't know whether any of that has been asked or answered, for that matter, and I'm concerned that we're going to get to a point whereby the knee-jerk reaction in relation to the horrible event at Bondi Beach will simply become something that is escalating the problem rather than finding ways to diminish or deal with the issue around anti-Semitism. That we're going to head into a space which I think is dangerous and a place that Australia has never been before. And are we ready for it? So I'll take it to the article in The Guardian. So New South Wales Premier also announced police will carry long-arm rifles at major New Year's event in Sydney, and that this is the first time this has ever been done. And how are we going to feel if you're part of the community? How are you going to feel about these guns, people carrying these types of weapons? What does it tell us? What's the message that gives us about whether we should feel safe in our community? Chris Minns has said his government is actively considering whether the Jewish security group should be armed in the wake of the Bondi terror attack, as it confirms police will carry long-arm rifles for the first time at Sydney's major New Year's Eve event. The New South Wales Premier said he was considering the extraordinary step of arming the Community Security Group, CSG, after fielding questions about reports police had failed to heed a warning from the group about the event posing a high security risk and the need of a greater police presence. The CSG, led by a team of security professionals. Who are those professionals? What makes them security professionals? And supported by trained volunteers, monitors threat to the community and provides security for Jewish events, according to the website. Now, I'm not sure, and I haven't been convinced that this particular group can necessarily offer the security that is needed, simply because there's this other article which talked about who this group is and some of the concerns that they had. So in this group, there's this article, Jewish community asked for stronger police presence at Hanukkah festival. Now, this is about them knowing that there was going to be or them being aware that these events were likely to be suspect. Now, the Jewish events are often held at a whole host of locations around Hanukkah, and a lot of these events they're issued with invitations just prior to the event. The location of the events often was secret, But in this case, this was a massive event. Certainly wasn't a secret, and that there were security groups who were concerned about the open airness, I guess, and the possibility for something to go wrong. So, Community Security Group, the volunteer-led organisation that arranges security for synagogues, Jewish schools and community events, and liaises with police on behalf of Jewish organisations, determined the annual Hanukkah gathering, one of the biggest on the Sydney Jewish community's calendar, was high risk based on its size, location and profile. The risk assessment led CSG to ask New South Wales Police for multiple officers to be stationed at the December 14th celebration for its duration. Instead, junior officers roaming Bondi Beach on a broad patrol had been instructed to monitor the event intermittently, a source with knowledge of the arrangement told this masthead. The officers happened to be checking in at the event when the attack began and were inside the barrier. New South Wales Police and security agencies come under scrutiny in the aftermath of the alleged massacre of 15 people by two shooters wielding high-powered rifles. The light presence of officers dedicated to the Arch Park event underwhelmed the organisers of the celebration, Shattered Bondi said. So the issue for me is CSG knew or were aware. They had told the police that without any information, incidentally, it wasn't like they knew these two guys were going to do what they did. It was just an open-air event for the Jewish community. There is no further information that we've been provided, which will indicate that they had information that no one else had. They didn't. They just told the police that they were concerned. Now, they're obviously building a case also so that, as is the case now, that they can be armed. I don't know how you would feel if you turned up to any event, and found people with security shirts on, holding guns, and whether or not anybody, in fact, could get the same uniform, if you like, come in with a gun and cause havoc. How do you ensure that that particular group has got the capabilities to be able to deal with a conflict such as we saw at Bondi? I don't know. But doesn't mean, and this is my point to you, doesn't mean that we're going to become more and more militarized to deal with what happened at Bondi so that it doesn't happen again. Because my point is that none of this stuff that they're talking about now prevents people from becoming radicalized. None of it. It prevents an event from happening, or at least may prevent less people, from being slaughtered or injured. That might be true. I don't know. It's the argument they use in the United States, whereby the only way you deal with other people with guns is to have more guns yourself. And this is a notion that's fraught with danger. We know that from the United States. Australia has lived gun-free for over 36 years. And to see this country now heading down a path which is advocating that security groups or another group apart from police should carry guns. And the other issue that does concern me is that Menz was talking about bringing in the army to patrol streets during New Year's Eve. How Trumpism, how Trumpy is that? And coming from, what I would consider normally a very progressive government is kind of scary. So where are we heading around all of this? Because we're going to a place where we've never been before. And the more we go down this path, the worse it will become for you and I as citizens, because our rights will be eroded by this type of behaviour. Will it keep us safe? No, it won't necessarily keep us safe. Crazy people will do crazy things. Crazy people will develop crazy plots behind closed doors around the kitchen table or whatever, and we won't know about it. Or there'll be a lone wolf who simply conjures all this crap up themselves and does something terrible. We do not know. We do not know. Arming people so that we feel supposedly, and it's a furphy, so that we feel more safe with people with guns, I struggle with greatly. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Remember to subscribe to my videos because we'll be discussing this more and more as time goes by, as we go through New Year and as we head into 2026. Things will be different. We are in a new world now because of two crazy men. Because of two crazy men. We're in this space whereby we in the community are encouraged to feel less safe because there'll simply be more guns on the streets. Crazy. Let me know what you think.